Please just go. Pretend you didn't see me.
She thought she could hide from him forever. Her ex-husband, Dae-Hyun Kang, the most ruthless Korean mafia boss in Seoul. They were married once, a union of fire and ice. Someone threatened her to leave, and so she ran. Now she is heavily pregnant and working as a waitress, scraping by on tips. One night changed everything because he walked through those doors again. The man she loved once. The man who broke her without even knowing it. Reality crashed down on him the moment he saw her, and he realized one thing with terrifying clarity: the child was his. But before anyone could react, Thiara whispered, "Please just go.
Please just go.
Pretend
you didn't see me.
Pretend you didn't see me." What he doesn't know is that someone forced her to divorce him. What happens when Dae-Hyun finds out who was responsible? Will he burn the city down, even if the culprit is his own mother? Before we dive into this emotional roller coaster, smash that subscribe button right now. You need to know what happens next, and trust me, you do not want to miss how this unfolds. Welcome back to Afro-Korean Soul Tales, family. We are growing every day thanks to you. If you are ready for a story that will tear your heart out and put it back together, hit that like button and let's get started. The crystal chandelier overhead scattered light like spilled diamonds across the cold marble floors of L'Orangerie, Seoul's most opulent dining establishment. The air smelled of roasted duck, expensive wine, and the heavy, cloying scent of desperation masked by wealth. Dae-Hyun Kang entered the room, and the atmosphere shifted instantly. The temperature seemed to drop. Conversations paused, forks hovered halfway to mouths, and the staff stiffened against the walls. He was royalty here, the Shadow King of Seoul, wearing a bespoke suit that cost more than most people earned in a decade. He had moved on, or at least, that was the lie he told himself every morning when he looked in the mirror. But then he saw her. Thiara, his ex-wife. She was moving through the tables, balancing a heavy tray with trembling hands. She looked different. Her once vibrant glow was dimmed by sheer exhaustion, her beautiful skin pallid under the harsh lights. But the most shocking detail was the silhouette of her body. The uniform was 2 sizes too small, straining tightly against a swollen, undeniable belly. Dae-Hyun froze. The world narrowed down to a single point. The chatter of the restaurant faded into a dull buzz. The woman clinging to his arm, Sujin, a perfectly manicured socialite his mother adored, ceased to exist. The only thing that mattered was the woman serving table 4, the woman he thought had abandoned him, the woman who was currently carrying a life inside her. Everything he thought he had buried, every ounce of rage and grief he had suffocated under work and violence, came roaring back to life with the force of a tsunami. 6 months ago, Thiara Montez had signed divorce papers with shaking hands, her tears staining the ink. She had believed every poisonous word Madam Kang had fed her, that Dae-Hyun wanted someone of his own status, someone Korean, someone suitable for his empire. Madam Kang had convinced her that she was an embarrassment, a stain on his reputation, and that he had never truly loved her. Thiara had left without telling him about the baby, too broken to fight, too proud to beg for a place where she wasn't wanted. Now, she was surviving on 16-hour shifts, hiding her pregnancy under oversized aprons when she could, living on scraps and desperation. The tips she earned barely covered the rent for a moldy studio apartment in the slums of Seoul. She had sold everything. The jewelry Dae-Hyun had gifted her, her designer clothes, even her wedding ring. She used a cracked burner phone with no contacts, severing every tie to her past. Every morning she woke up with her back screaming in pain, her feet swollen like melons, her heart a hollow cavity in her chest. Every night she cried herself to sleep, one hand protectively over her belly, whispering apologies to the innocent child who deserved a father, who deserved a palace, not this poverty. Dae-Hyun had searched for her. God, he had torn Seoul apart brick by brick. For months, his men had scourged the country, looking for the wife who had vanished like smoke in the wind. His mother, Madam Kang, had played her part perfectly, her face a mask of tragic concern, claiming she knew nothing. His men had found zero trace of her. Thiara had been too careful, fueled by the terror that he would take the baby away if he found her. Dae-Hyun had drowned himself in work and meaningless flings, trying to forget eyes the color of warm honey and a laugh that used to be his favorite sound. But forgetting Thiara was like trying to stop his own heart from beating. Every woman he looked at wasn't her. Every touch felt wrong, like sandpaper against his skin. Every kiss tasted like ash. Tonight was supposed to be a distraction. Dinner with Sujin, a woman from a good family with the right connections. Sujin was beautiful in a cold, architectural way, tall, thin, perfectly styled. She had been talking for 20 minutes about charity galas, the latest Milan Fashion Week, and society gossip. Dae-Hyun hadn't heard a single word. His mind was miles away, haunting the empty rooms of his penthouse where Thiara's ghost still lingered. Then, the universe slammed the brakes. Thiara emerged from the kitchen again, her movements slow and pained. She wiped a stray curl of hair from her forehead, her face thinner than he remembered, dark circles bruising the skin under her eyes. She looked fragile, like a stiff breeze could shatter her. But she was still the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. As if feeling the weight of his gaze, she turned. Their eyes locked across the crowded room. Her eyes widened with absolute panic. The tray in her hands wobbled. He saw shame, fear, and a heartbreaking longing crash over her face. His eyes narrowed. Shock morphed into fury, and then into something darker, deeper. Possessiveness. Rage. Why was she here? Why was she serving food to these parasites? Why was she pregnant? She looked away first, turning toward the kitchen with obvious desperation, trying to flee. Dae-Hyun? Where are you going? Sujin's voice was a high-pitched whine behind him. He didn't answer. He didn't even look at her. He was already moving. He crossed the restaurant in long, predatory strides. The crowd parted instinctively, sensing the violence radiating off him. Staff members froze, trays rattling in their hands. His eyes never left Thiara's retreating back. She felt him coming. That familiar electric charge that had always existed between them, that magnetic pull she had never been able to resist, pricked at her skin. She turned just as he reached her. He was close. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, sandalwood, and expensive tobacco, the scent that used to lull her to sleep. Close enough to see the veins throbbing in his neck. Thiara. His voice was rough, like gravel grinding against glass, vibrating with restrained emotion. What the hell are you doing here? She lifted her chin, summoning a dignity she didn't feel. Her hands knuckled white on the tray. Working. Excuse me, sir, I have tables to serve. His hand shot out, gripping her wrist. Not enough to hurt, but firm enough to anchor her. The touch sent a jolt of electricity through both of them, a painful reminder of what they used to be. You're pregnant. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. Congratulations on your observational skills. The sarcasm was a flimsy shield, her only defense against the tidal wave of emotions threatening to drown her. How far along? His gaze dropped to her belly, burning through the cheap fabric of her uniform, then snapped back to her face. He was calculating the dates. She saw the realization hit him like a physical blow. Thiara, how far along are you? 7 months, she whispered, her voice trembling. Now let me go before I lose this job too. 7 months. The math was instantaneous. She had been pregnant when she left. His child. She was carrying his air, his blood, and she was working herself to the bone in a restaurant while he had been living in luxury. A fury like he had never known flooded his veins, hot and blinding. You're coming with me. He started to pull her toward the exit. No. She yanked her arm, adrenaline overriding her fear. The tray in her other hand wobbled dangerously, silverware clattering. I'm not going anywhere with you. You have a date waiting. Go back to her. I don't give a damn about her. His voice rose, a roar that silenced the entire restaurant. Diners turned to stare, mouths agape. You are my wife. Ex-wife. We are divorced. Remember? Your mother made that very clear. Tears threatened to spill, but she blinked them back furiously. She would not cry in front of him. Not here. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. A predator spotting a trap. My mother? What did she do? It doesn't matter anymore. Thiara's voice cracked. Please, Dae-Hyun. Just go. Pretend you didn't see me. It's what you wanted anyway. Pretend. He laughed, but it was a harsh, broken sound. Pretend? You are carrying my child, standing on swollen feet serving soup to ingrates, and you want me to pretend? Where have you been? Do you have any idea what I— Excuse me. The restaurant manager appeared, bustling over with a stern but nervous expression. He recognized Dae-Hyun, knew the rumors of the bodies buried in the Han River, but he had a business to run. You are disturbing the other guests. Miss Montez, get back to work immediately. Sir, please return to your table or I will have to ask you to leave. Dae-Hyun turned to the manager slowly. The look on his face made the man recoil, the blood draining from his cheeks. She is done working here, Dae-Hyun said, his voice deceptively calm. Effective immediately. You can't. Thiara started, panic rising in her chest. I need this job, Dae-Hyun. I need the money. Watch me. He pulled out his phone, dialed a number, and held it to his ear, his eyes never leaving the manager's terrified face. By Lorangerie. Now. I want ownership transferred within the hour. I don't care what it costs. Triple the market value if you have to. He hung up and pocketed the phone. You're fired, he told the manager. For making a pregnant woman stand on her feet for 16 hours. For paying her slave wages. For not ensuring she had proper breaks or meals. Get out of my sight. The manager sputtered. You can't just. I own half of this franchise. I own Seoul. Dae-Hyun stepped closer, looming over the man. I can do whatever I want. He turned back to Thiara. His hand found the small of her back, the touch possessive, protective, warm. We are leaving. Now. I need the money for the baby, she pleaded, though her resistance was fading. I have rent to pay. You don't need anything. I will provide everything. His voice softened, the rage dialing down just for her. Don't fight me on this, Thiara. You won't win, and you shouldn't have to fight anymore. She wanted to argue. She wanted to maintain her independence, to prove she didn't need him. But exhaustion was a heavy blanket and pregnancy hormones were wreaking havoc on her resolve. Her feet throbbed. Her back ached. She was so tired of struggling alone. She let him guide her out, past the staring diners, past Sujin's shocked and furious expression, and into the biting cold of the Seoul night. His hand never left her back, supporting her, claiming her. His car appeared within seconds, a sleek black Mercedes Maybach with tinted windows. He helped her inside with unexpected gentleness, guarding her head as she ducked in, then climbed in beside her. The interiors smelled like leather and him. Memories flooded back, unbidden. Of late-night drives, of his hand resting on her thigh, of stolen kisses at red lights. Where are we going? She asked, her voice small in the luxurious silence. Home. He studied her face in the dim light of the street lamps passing by, as if he were memorizing her all over again. To our home. We don't have a home, she whispered, looking at her hands. Not anymore. We never stopped having a home. You left. I didn't. His jaw clenched, a muscle feathering under the skin. Why, Thiara? Why did you leave without telling me you were pregnant? Why did you disappear like I meant nothing to you? She stared at the empty space on her finger where her wedding ring used to be. Because your mother told me you wanted me gone. She said I was an embarrassment. That you had moved on. That you wanted a Korean wife. She took a shaky breath. And you believed her? After everything we were to each other. She had divorce papers, Thiara said, her voice breaking. With your signature, Dae-Hyun. She said you were too kind to tell me yourself, but that you wanted someone suitable. Someone who fit your world. And I looked at our life, and I realized she was right. I never fit. I was just fooling myself. Dae-Hyun was silent for a long moment. The air in the car grew heavy, charged with static. When he finally spoke, his voice shook with a terrifying, controlled rage. I never signed divorce papers. Thiara's head snapped up. What? I refused to divorce you. I told her I would never let you go, that she could threaten me all she wanted, but you were my wife, and that was forever. His hands clenched into fists on his knees. She forged my signature. She filed the papers without my knowledge. When I found out, it was too late. You were already gone. The implications crashed over Thiara like ice water. She lied to both of us. She lied to both of us, he confirmed, the fury simmering beneath his controlled exterior like magma. And she will pay for it. But first, his eyes dropped to her belly again, and his expression softened impossibly. First, we deal with this. With us. With our baby. The drive to his penthouse was tense and silent. Thiara stared out the window, trying to process the magnitude of the revelation. 7 months of suffering. 7 months of believing she was unwanted, of struggling alone, of crying herself to sleep, all based on lies. Dae-Hyun kept stealing glances at her belly, his hands twitching as if he was physically restraining himself from reaching out. When they arrived, the building's doorman looked shocked to see her, his eyes widening. "Mrs. Kong? Welcome back. We've missed you." So, he had never told anyone about the divorce. Interesting. Or maybe, to him, the divorce had never been real at all. The penthouse was exactly as she remembered it. Cold, modern, expensive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline like a sea of stars. Marble floors, designer furniture, art that cost more than most people earned in a lifetime. But something was different. Her things were still there. Photos of them together still lined the shelves. Their wedding day in Jeju, vacations in Paris, candid moments of happiness on the sofa. Her favorite books sat on the coffee table exactly where she had left them, a bookmark still sticking out of a novel. Her art supplies were organized neatly in the corner by the window where the light was best. It was like he had frozen the apartment in time, preserving their marriage like a museum exhibit. "You kept everything," she said quietly, emotion tightening her throat. "Of course I kept everything. You are my wife." He shrugged off his jacket, loosening his tie with sharp, angry movements. "Sit down. You look exhausted." "I'm fine." "Sit down." Command threaded through the words. It was the voice he used to run an empire, to order hits, to negotiate wars. She sat, hating how her body obeyed him automatically, how her aching feet thanked her for the relief. Pregnancy had sapped her usual fire, left her vulnerable in ways she resented. Dae-Hyun disappeared into the kitchen, returning moments later with a tray, water, fresh fruit, crackers, and cheese. He set them on the table in front of her. "Eat." She hesitated. "When was the last time you had a proper meal?" he asked. "This morning." "Don't lie to me." His eyes pinned her, dark and intense. "I know you, Thiara. I know when you're lying. When was the last time you actually ate enough?" She took the water, sipping it slowly, her stomach cramping with a hunger she had been ignoring for days. 2 days ago. Maybe 3. His expression darkened dangerously. "You've been starving yourself?" "Starving my child." "I haven't been starving anyone," she snapped, defensive now. "I can barely afford food and rent. The tips at the restaurant weren't enough, and the pay was garbage. I was doing the best I could." She stopped, biting her lip, not wanting to reveal just how desperate things had gotten. The nights she'd gone to bed hungry just so she could save money for prenatal vitamins. The times she'd contemplated calling him, but pride and heartbreak had stopped her. "And you didn't call me," he said softly, crouching in front of her so their eyes were level. "Didn't tell me you were struggling. Why? After everything we were to each other, why would you suffer alone rather than reach out?" "Because your mother told me you wanted the divorce." The words burst out of her, 7 months of pain and anger behind them. "She said you were embarrassed by me, that I wasn't suitable for your world, that you'd already moved on with someone from a proper Korean family." "She had papers, Dae-Hyun. Legal documents with your signature. She paid me money to leave quietly. She told me if I really loved you, I'd let you go so you could have the life you deserved." And I believed her because deep down, I always knew I didn't belong in your world. I was just a girl from Lagos who got lucky enough to catch your attention for a while. Dae-Hyun went very still. The air around him seemed to vibrate. "My mother told you that?" "Yes. She said you were too polite to say it yourself, so she was doing it for you. She showed me photos of you with other women, society women, suitable women. She said you'd been seeing them, planning your future with them." Fresh tears spilled down Thiara's cheeks. "And I believed her because I'd always felt like an imposter in your life, like eventually you'd wake up and realize you'd made a mistake with me." No. His hands framed her face, warm and rough, forcing her to look at him. No. You were never a mistake. You were never just anything. You were everything. You are everything. His voice broke, a crack in the armor of the monster. I never wanted a divorce. I came home one day and you were gone. No note, no explanation, nothing. Just gone. Your clothes, your art supplies, your books, everything was here. But you weren't. And my mother claimed she had no idea where you went. She cried, said she tried to stop you, but you insisted on leaving. She lied to both of us, Thiara whispered. Family, can you believe the mother's manipulation? She played them both. If you are rooting for Dae-Hyun to fix this mess, smash that like button right now. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens when he confronts his mother. She manipulated us both, he confirmed. Destroyed our marriage because she didn't think you were suitable. Because she is a classist, prejudiced woman who cares more about appearances than her son's happiness. His thumbs brushed away her tears, gentle strokes that contrasted with the violence in his eyes. And she will pay for it. But first, he moved his hands from her face down to her belly, touching the swell of their child with a reverent wonder that made Thiara's breath hitch. First, we deal with this. With us. With our baby who has been growing while we've been apart. As if sensing his touch, the baby kicked. Hard. Dae-Hyun's eyes widened with shock. Was that the baby? Yes. Despite everything, a small, weary smile touched Thiara's lips. They kick a lot. Especially at night when I'm trying to sleep. He looked up at her, his eyes shining with unshed tears. Do you know what we're having? I didn't want to find out alone. The admission cost her, revealing the depth of her loneliness. How many ultrasounds had she sat through by herself? Crying in the parking lot afterward because the silence in the car was too loud? His expression cracked completely. I missed 7 months. 7 months of your pregnancy. 7 months of our child growing. Of you needing me and me not being there. He leaned forward, resting his forehead against her belly. She felt him trembling. I'm sorry. God, Thiara, I'm so sorry. I should have found you sooner. I should have searched harder. I should have known my mother was lying. She wanted to stay angry. She wanted to protect herself from the inevitable pain of loving him and losing him again. But seeing the great Dae-Hyun Kang broken like this, feeling his hands gently cradling their unborn child, hearing the raw agony in his voice, she felt her walls crumbling brick by brick. It's not your fault, she whispered, her fingers instinctively finding the thick hair at the nape of his neck. We were both manipulated. Both lied to. It is my fault. I should have questioned everything. I should have torn Seoul apart until I found you. I should have known you would never leave me without a damn good reason. He looked up, his eyes fierce and wet. But you're here now. You're home. And I am never letting you go again. Do you understand? Never. I don't care what I have to do, who I have to fight, what I have to destroy. You're mine, and you're staying mine. The possessiveness should have frightened her. Instead, it made her feel cherished, wanted, protected in a way she hadn't felt in nearly a year. That's very presumptuous, she murmured. It's a promise. He stood, pulling her up with him, his hands careful on her arms. You're exhausted. You need to rest, eat properly, take care of yourself and our baby. So, here is what is going to happen. You're going to shower, put on comfortable clothes, and sleep in our bed. I am going to order food, real food, nutritious food. And tomorrow, we are seeing the best obstetrician in Seoul to make sure you and the baby are healthy. Dae-Hyun. This isn't negotiable, Thiara. You have been suffering for 7 months. That ends now. His voice softened, pleading now. Please. Let me take care of you. Let me be what I should have been all along. She was too tired to argue, too emotionally overwhelmed, too desperate for the comfort and safety he was offering. She nodded, and relief flooded his features. The next morning, Thiara woke in a bed that smelled like Dae-Hyun, sandalwood, and something uniquely him. She was alone, wearing one of his soft t-shirts that stretched tight across her pregnant belly. Her filthy uniform was gone. Memories of the night before flooded back. How he had insisted she shower, standing outside the bathroom door like a sentry, afraid she might dissolve if he left her alone. How he had brought her food and watched her eat every bite, his eyes never leaving her face. How he had lain beside her in bed, fully clothed, his hand on her belly, talking softly to their child about how sorry he was for missing so much time. How he had held her when she cried, when 7 months of pain and loneliness came pouring out in a torrent of grief. She found him in his home office down the hall. He was on the phone, his back to the door, looking out at the city. His voice was cold, lethal, terrifying. "I don't care what excuse you have, Mother. You lied to me. You sent my wife away pregnant and let me believe she had abandoned me. You made her suffer. You made her work herself to exhaustion while carrying my child. You manipulated both of us because of your prejudice." A pause. Madam King's voice came through the speaker, shrill and defensive, making excuses in rapid-fire Korean. "No, you don't get to explain. You don't get to justify." Dae-Hyun cut her off, his voice like a blade. "You are cut off. All access to my accounts, all positions in my companies, all influence in my life gone. Effective immediately. You wanted me to marry someone suitable? Congratulations. I am already married to the only woman I have ever loved. The only woman I will ever love. And you will never see your grandchildren. You will never know them, never hold them, never be part of their lives. You made that choice when you destroyed my marriage." His mother's voice rose to a wail, pleading no. "But Dae-Hyun." "If you ever contact Thiara again," he interrupted, his tone dropping an octave, "if you ever come near my family, I will forget you are my mother. I will treat you like any other enemy. And you know exactly what I do to my enemies." He hung up, ending the call with a finality that echoed in the room. He turned and noticed Thiara standing in the doorway. "You didn't have to do that," she said softly, though part of her was fiercely glad he had. "Yes, I did. She nearly destroyed us. She made you suffer for 7 months. She made me search desperately for my wife while lying to my face about knowing nothing." He crossed the room to her, his movements fluid and dangerous. "She chose appearances over our happiness. Now she lives with the consequences. She's still your mother. And you are still my wife. My priority. Always." His hands found her waist, gentle and grounding. "How do you feel? Did you sleep?" "Better than I have in months." She touched her belly self-consciously. "The baby has been quiet this morning. Usually, they're kicking by now." Concern flashed across his face instantly. "Is that normal? Should we call the doctor?" "I think they're just comfortable. Good bed, less stress." She smiled at his worry. "But we should probably see a doctor soon anyway. Make sure everything is okay. We are going today. I already made an appointment." At her surprised look, he shrugged. "I called the best OB in Seoul at 6 a.m. We have an appointment at 10 o'clock. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. I wanted to be sure we got in." He pulled her closer, careful of her belly, burying his face in her hair. "Thiara, we need to talk about us." "About what happens now? What is there to talk about?" She pulled back slightly to look at him, searching his face for any sign of deception. "You said the divorce was never real." "It wasn't. I refused to sign, which means legally, in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of God, you are still my wife." His smile was slow, predatory, and undeniably possessive. "You are still mine, Thiara. You never stopped being mine." The possessiveness should have annoyed her. It should have triggered her desire for independence. Instead, it sent a wave of heat crashing through her body, reminding her of all the reasons she had fallen for him in the first place. He was dangerous, yes, but he was a fortress, and she was tired of being out in the cold. "That is very presumptuous, Dae-Hyun." "It is the truth. And here is another truth." He leaned in, his forehead resting against hers. "I love you. I never stopped loving you, and I am going to spend every single day proving it to you until you believe me again." "I never stopped loving you either," she admitted, the words spilling out before she could check them. "Even when I thought you had rejected me, even when I was angry and hurt and alone. I couldn't stop. I tried, God knows I tried, but I couldn't." His kiss was gentle despite the storm in his eyes, mindful of her pregnant belly between them. It was a seal, a promise. Then stay. Let me take care of you. Let me be the husband and father I should have been all along. Before she could answer, his phone rang. The harsh sound shattered the moment. He answered with visible irritation, his eyes never leaving her face. What? His expression changed instantly, darkening into a mask of lethal fury. When? Where is she now? A pause, heavy with menace. Keep her there. I'm coming. He hung up, already reaching for his jacket. What's wrong? Thiara asked, fear spiking in her chest. Is it business? Sujin, the woman from last night. He adjusted his cuffs, his movements sharp. She has been talking to reporters. She is spreading lies about you, about us. She is trying to damage my reputation and yours. His jaw clenched tight enough to snap bone. She is claiming you are a con artist who trapped me with a fake pregnancy, that you are trying to extort money from me. What? But people will see. I know it is all lies, but rumors spread fast in the city, like a disease. I need to handle this before it gets worse. He cupped her face, his thumbs stroking her cheekbones. Stay here. Rest. Eat. I will be back soon, and then we will go to your doctor's appointment together. Dae-Hyun, be careful. Always. He kissed her forehead. And Thiara? Start thinking about names. We have a baby to plan for. Later that afternoon, Thiara explored the penthouse properly, trying to process her new reality. She wandered down the hallway, drawn to a room that had been locked when they lived here before. It was open now. She stepped inside and gasped. Evidence of Dae-Hyun's desperate search for her was everywhere. It was a war room. Maps of Seoul covered the walls, marked with red pins for locations he had searched. Phone records showing hundreds of calls to anyone who might have seen her were taped up next to private investigator reports. He had dedicated an entire wall to finding her, displaying her photos, timelines, and notes, tracking every dead-end lead in his sharp, angular handwriting. He hadn't lied. He hadn't just looked for her, he had hunted for her. Desperately. Obsessively. On a desk in the corner, she found her old sketchbooks. Before their marriage fell apart, she had been studying design, dreaming of having her own boutique someday. She had given up those dreams when Madame Kong convinced her she wasn't good enough, that she should focus on being a suitable wife instead. You kept these too, she murmured, flipping through drawings of dresses and patterns, designs she had abandoned in another life. I kept everything. Dae-Hyun's voice came from the doorway, making her jump. She turned. He looked tired but satisfied, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. How did it go with Sujin? She has been handled. The stories won't run. She signed an NDA and accepted a settlement to keep her mouth shut about everything, including what she saw last night. His expression darkened, a shadow passing over his face. She also won't be working in Seoul anymore. I made some calls. You ruined her career? She tried to hurt you. She tried to spread lies about you and our unborn child. There are consequences for that. He crossed the room to her, his hands finding her waist. I know I can be controlling. I know my world is dangerous and complicated, but I will always protect you. Even from gossip and lies. I know. She touched his face, feeling the rough stubble on his jaw. You look exhausted. I haven't slept properly in 7 months. Not since you left. His eyes searched hers, vulnerable in a way the world never saw. I kept thinking you would come back. That you would walk through that door and tell me whatever was wrong, we could fix it together. But you never came back. And every day that passed, I died a little more inside. I thought you didn't want me anymore. That I was an embarrassment. Impossible. You could never embarrass me. You made me better. Made me want to be better. He pulled her closer, mindful of her belly. I will want you until I take my last breath. Probably even after that. The kiss started soft, a question, but quickly deepened into an answer. 7 months of longing and separation fueled the heat between them. His hands tangled in her curls, and she gripped his shoulders, remembering every reason she had fallen for him. How safe he made her feel. How cherished. How desperately loved. We should stop, she gasped when they broke apart, breathless. The baby is perfectly safe. His lips found the sensitive spot on her neck that always made her melt. I researched extensively. As long as you are comfortable, it is fine. Of course you researched. She laughed, a breathless sound that turned into a moan as his mouth moved lower. Dae-Hyun, I've missed you. God, Thiara, I've missed you so much. Every night alone was torture. Every woman who wasn't you felt wrong. His voice broke. I couldn't stop loving you. She pulled him toward the bedroom. 7 months of loneliness and fear dissolved under his touch. They moved together with familiar passion, but with a new reverence. His hands were gentle on her changed body, his eyes full of wonder and love as he traced the curves of her pregnant belly. You are beautiful, he whispered, his hands spanning her hips. More beautiful than ever, carrying our child. God, Thiara, you are perfect. Afterward, she lay in his arms, feeling safer than she had in a long time. His hand rested on her belly, feeling their baby kick, and she covered his hand with hers. I was so scared, she admitted quietly into the silence. When I found out I was pregnant, I didn't know how I'd manage alone. I didn't know if I could give the baby everything they deserved. You will never be alone again. He kissed her temple, the promise fierce and absolute. I swear to you, whatever happens, whatever comes, we face it together. You, me, and our baby. Family. Family, she repeated, the word tasting like hope. A few days later, Thiara woke to an empty bed and immediate panic. Morning sickness hit hard, a violent wave that sent her rushing to the bathroom. When she emerged, pale and shaking, Dae-Hyun was there. He had water, crackers, and ginger tea on a tray. I heard you, he said simply, his hands supporting her back as he guided her to the sofa. Does this happen every morning? Most mornings. It's been better lately, but stress probably triggered it. She accepted the crackers gratefully, nibbling carefully. We are seeing my doctor today. The best OB in Seoul. I want to make sure you and the baby are completely healthy. I can't afford. You are on my insurance. You have been this whole time. I never took you off. His tone left no room for argument. And even if you weren't, I would pay for everything. You are my wife, Thiara. My responsibility. My everything. Stop trying to handle things alone. The doctor's appointment was overwhelming in the best way. The clinic was luxurious, private, with staff who bowed and treated her like royalty instead of the charity case she had felt like for months. Dae-Hyun held her hand through the examination, his knuckles white, his eyes glued to the ultrasound screen when the grainy image of their baby appeared. Everything looks very good, the doctor said in English for Thiara's benefit. Baby is healthy, right size for gestational age, strong heartbeat. Mother needs better nutrition and rest, but overall everything is progressing well. You are lucky. 7 months of inadequate care could have caused serious problems. Thiara felt guilt crash over her, sharp and stinging, but Dae-Hyun squeezed her hand. She did the best she could with what she had. Now she has everything she needs. Dae-Hyun's voice was firm, absolving her. The doctor smiled. Would you like to know the gender? Thiara looked at Dae-Hyun. He looked at her, his eyes soft, unguarded. Together, he asked quietly. Together, she confirmed, her heart racing. It's a girl, the doctor announced with a warm smile. A healthy baby girl. Dae-Hyun's expression transformed. Wonder, joy, fierce protectiveness, all crossing his features at once. It was like watching the sun rise after a long winter. A daughter. His voice was thick with emotion, barely controlled. Thiara found herself crying, overwhelmed by the reality of it. A girl. He pulled her close, pressing kisses to her face, her hair, her lips, his own tears mixing with hers. A daughter, he repeated, his voice breaking. Our daughter. Our little girl. I am going to spoil her terribly. Not too much, Thiara protested through tears and laughter. Way too much. She will be a princess. My little princess. She will have everything. The best schools, the best clothes, anything her heart desires. He looked at the ultrasound image the doctor handed them, his expression one of complete awe. She is perfect. Just like her mother. In the car afterward, he couldn't stop looking at the ultrasound photos. We need to start preparing. Nursery, clothes, supplies. I want everything ready before she arrives. We have 2 months, Dae-Hyun, Thiara said, amused by his intensity. Not enough time. We need to plan. He was already making lists on his phone, scrolling through contacts. Crib, changing table, clothes, diapers, monitors. What colors do you want for the nursery? I don't know. Maybe something neutral. Not too pink and princessy. Whatever you want. Though I reserve the right to buy her princess dresses. He glanced at her, his expression softening into something profound. Thank you. For what? For carrying our daughter. For surviving 7 months alone. For being strong enough to keep going even when you thought I didn't want you. His hand found hers, interlacing their fingers. For still loving me despite everything. Always, she whispered. I couldn't stop if I tried. That evening, Dae-Hyun threw himself into preparation mode with the intensity he brought to Mafia Wars. He researched cribs, car seats, and baby monitors, reading reviews and comparing safety ratings like he was negotiating a hostage exchange. Thiara watched him with amusement and affection, seeing the man behind the boss facade. You are being obsessive, she said as he showed her paint swatches. Dozens of them. I am being thorough. I have missed 7 months. I have catching up to do. He pulled her onto his lap carefully. Indulge me. Let me do this. Let me be the father I should have been from the beginning. Fine. But nothing too pink. I want her to be strong, not just spoiled. She can be both. He kissed her neck. Like her mother. Beautiful and strong and absolutely impossible to forget. The tenderness in his voice made her heart ache. She turned in his arms, facing him. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the pregnancy. I should have fought harder. I should have questioned your mother more, demanded to talk to you directly. I was just so hurt and scared. Stop. His hands framed her face. Stop apologizing for what she did to us. You did what you thought was right. What you thought I wanted. She manipulated you. Manipulated both of us. That is on her, not you. But you missed. I know what I missed. And I am angry about it. Furious. But not at you. Never at you. He kissed her softly. We focus forward now. On our family. On our future. On giving our daughter everything she deserves. Including a father who is there. His eyes held hers, dark and serious. I am transitioning out of the darker side of my business. Moving everything legitimate. It will take time, but I am doing it for you. For her. For us. I want to be a father she can be proud of. A week later, Thiara was settling into her new life, her old life, with surprising ease. Dae-Hyun worked from home most days, unwilling to leave her alone for long. He had hired a nutritionist who created meal plans specifically for her pregnancy needs, and a personal trainer who specialized in pregnancy-safe yoga. He had started converting a spare room into a nursery, involving her in every decision even as he obsessively researched every product. But his world wasn't without its dangers. She was reminded of that when he came home one night with blood on his white shirt and a nasty cut above his eye. His knuckles were split and swollen. What happened? She rushed to him, fear spiking through her chest, her hand instinctively going to her belly. Rival gang. They made a move on one of my territories. Tried to take advantage while they thought I was distracted. He tried to move past her, but she blocked his path, her pregnant belly making her stance both fierce and vulnerable. You're hurt. It's nothing. It's not nothing. Sit down. She pushed him toward the couch with surprising strength, then fetched the first aid kit. Her hands shook as she cleaned the cut above his eye. Each drop of blood was a reminder of the dangerous world he lived in. This is the life you lead, she murmured. Violence and danger. Yes. He caught her hands, stilling their trembling. And I understand if that scares you. But I meant what I said. I am transitioning out. Moving toward legitimate business. It will take time, maybe a year, maybe 2, but I am doing it. I don't want you to worry every time I walk out the door. I don't want you to change who you are for me. I am not changing who I am. I am becoming who I want to be. His eyes held hers. A husband who comes home safely every night. A father who is there for every moment, not missing anything because I am dead or in prison. She kissed him, tasting blood and promise and fear. Just don't get killed before our daughter is born. She needs her father. I need her too. And I need you. His hand found her belly, feeling their daughter kick as if responding to his voice. You are my world now. Both of you. Everything else is just noise. I will be careful. I promise. The following week, Dae-Hyun surprised her with a trip to an empty commercial space in one of Seoul's trendiest districts. It was beautiful floor-to-ceiling windows, exposed brick, perfect lighting. Thiara stared in confusion. What is this place? Your design studio. Your boutique. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. I want you to restart your business. Your dream. Whatever you need, space, supplies, funding, staff, it is yours. Thiara felt tears prick her eyes. Dae-Hyun, this is too much. It is not enough. You gave up your dreams because of my mother's poison. Because she convinced you that you weren't good enough. Now you get them back. His voice hardened with residual anger at his mother. Our daughter should know her mother is talented and successful, not just someone who lives in my shadow. I don't live in your shadow. I know. But I want the world to know it too. I want her to grow up seeing you build something amazing. To know that women, especially women who look like you, can create empires. He kissed her temple. Say yes. Let me give you this. How could she say no when he looked at her like she was the sun? Yes. Thank you. But I am doing this my way. With my vision. Not because I am your wife, but because I am talented. Thiara is finally getting her dream back, but you know peace never lasts long in this world. Something dangerous is coming. Before we see if their love can survive this next threat, make sure you are subscribed. Turn on those notifications because things are about to get intense. His smile was proud, fierce. I wouldn't have it any other way. He hired a team to help her, experienced designers, skilled seamstresses, business managers who understood the fashion industry. Within 2 weeks, her vision was taking shape. She designed maternity wear that was actually stylish, vibrant prints inspired by Legos, cuts that celebrated curves rather than hiding them. The work exhausted her, but it also fulfilled her in ways she had forgotten were possible. Dae-Hyun watched her bloom with quiet satisfaction, supporting her dreams while protecting her fiercely. Life was settling into something beautiful. But in his world, peace never lasted long. 2 months before her due date, everything fell apart. Thiara was at her boutique, reviewing fabric samples with her team. The bell chimed and 3 men entered. She recognized the danger immediately. The cold, dead eyes. The concealed weapons bullying the fabric of their jackets. The predatory way they moved, like wolves circling a lamb. Her assistant saw it too and reached for the panic button under the counter. But they were faster. Mrs. Kang, the leader said in heavily accented English. You are coming with us. No, She backed away, her hand shielding her belly. One of the men moved with frightening speed, grabbing her arm roughly. She screamed, and her assistant ran for help, but they were already dragging her toward a van waiting outside. Pedestrians stopped and stared, but no one intervened. Seoul might be modern, but people knew not to interfere with organized crime. Your husband took something from us. Now we take something from him. The leader's smile was cruel, calculated. See how he likes losing what matters most. They bundled her into the van. The door slammed shut, sealing her in darkness. Terror overwhelmed rational thought. Not for herself, but for her daughter. She was 8 months pregnant. Any stress could trigger early labor. Any violence could harm the baby. The drive was a blur of fear and desperate planning. They took her to a warehouse on the outskirts of Seoul, one of the abandoned industrial areas that smelled of rust, mold, and despair. Inside, they tied her to a metal chair. They were careful enough not to hurt the baby directly. They needed leverage, not a corpse, but the ropes bit into her swollen ankles and wrists. They made threats about what they would do to her baby, if Dae-Hyun didn't comply with their demands. She tried to stay calm, tried to breathe through the panic, but fear clawed at her throat. Her baby was kicking frantically, sensing her mother's distress. She focused on that, on the life inside her. Please, she begged, her voice steadier than she felt. I am 8 months pregnant. Whatever my husband did, take it up with him. Leave me out of it. You are his weakness. We hurt you, we hurt him. Simple business. The leader's phone rang. He answered, listened, then smiled coldly. Your husband wants to talk to you. Make it good. Convince him to cooperate. He held the phone to her ear roughly. Thiara. Dae-Hyun's voice came through, raw with panic. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? I'm okay. The baby is okay. Dae-Hyun, don't give them what they want. I'm not worth. Don't you dare. His voice cracked, ferocious and terrified. Don't you dare tell me you are not worth everything. Don't tell me to choose anything over you and our daughter. I am coming for you. I will burn this city to ash to find you. Hold on. Just hold on for me. They yanked the phone away. Thiara heard Dae-Hyun shouting her name before the call ended. Hours passed. Or maybe minutes. Time lost meaning in the suffocating heat of the warehouse. Her captors argued in Korean, and she caught enough words to understand they were debating whether to kill her now to send a message, or wait for Dae-Hyun to arrive. She prayed. She prayed to any god who might be listening. She prayed for her daughter's safety. For Dae-Hyun to find them in time. For one more chance to tell him she loved him. Then, the world exploded. Gunfire erupted outside. Shouting in Korean. More gunfire, so much it sounded like a war zone. The warehouse walls shook with the violence of the assault. The metal door exploded inward with a deafening crash, twisted off its hinges. Through the smoke and chaos, Thiara saw him. Dae-Hyun moved like death incarnate. He was a storm of violence, a nightmare his enemies had summoned and could not control. His men flanked him, but he was at the front, taking the most risk, his eyes scanning the room desperately until they landed on her. When their gazes locked, she saw relief and fury and love so intense it took her breath away. He took down anyone between him and her with brutal efficiency. No wasted movements. No mercy. 2 shots, 2 bodies dropping. He didn't even slow down. When he reached her, blood spattered his face and clothes, none of it his. His hands shook as he cut her bonds, his knife flashing in the dim light. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? The baby? He was frantic, checking her arms, her face, her belly. God, Thiara. The baby? We're okay. Dae-Hyun, we're okay. She collapsed against him, sobbing, and he lifted her into his arms as if she weighed nothing. He shielded her body with his own as he carried her out, his men forming a protective phalanx around them. He carried her to an armored SUV waiting outside, the engine running. Once inside, the door locked with a heavy thud, sealing out the violence. He ran his hands over her belly with desperate gentleness, feeling for their daughter. The baby kicked strongly against his palm, and relief broke across his face like a dam breaking. She's still moving. That's good, right? That means she is okay. I think so. But we should go to the hospital. Thiara's voice shook despite her attempts to stay calm. I'm having contractions. His face went white. You're in labor? I don't know. Maybe just stress. But we should check. She gripped his hand as another wave of pain hit her abdomen. Dae-Hyun, I'm scared. I've got you. Both of you. I promise. He barked orders to his driver, then pulled her close, burying his face in her neck. You are safe now. No one will ever touch you again. I will make sure of it. At the hospital, doctors swarmed them. Dae-Hyun hovered, refusing to leave her side, barking questions until the head obstetrician intervened. The contractions were Braxton Hicks, intensified by extreme stress, but not active labor. The baby was fine, heart rate strong. Thiara was shaken, dehydrated, but physically unharmed. You need rest, the doctor said firmly. Absolute bed rest for a few days. No stress. You are very lucky. When they were finally alone in her private hospital room, the adrenaline crashed. Dae-Hyun dropped to his knees beside her bed, burying his face in her lap. His shoulders shook with silent, racking sobs. I almost lost you, he choked out. Both of you. Because of my world. My enemies. My choices. He looked up, his eyes red-rimmed and haunted. Maybe you would be safer without me. Maybe I should let you go. Give you the peaceful life you deserve. Don't. She ran her fingers through his hair. Don't you dare finish that sentence. I am not leaving you. We are not leaving you. You should. For your safety. For hers. No. We are stronger together. And you are leaving that world anyway, remember? Going legitimate. She made him look at her. I chose you, Dae-Hyun Kang. With all your baggage and danger and darkness. I chose you, and I am not unchoosing you now. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway. She smiled through fresh tears. We're a team. You, me, and this little girl who is going to have both of us wrapped around her tiny finger. He kissed her belly with a reverence that felt like a prayer. I am going to marry you again. A proper wedding this time. And I am going to spend every day for the rest of my life proving I am worthy of you. You already did that. Now you just have to be here. Be present. Be ours. I can do that. He climbed onto the hospital bed beside her, careful not to jostle her, pulling her against his chest. I can definitely do that. The next morning, Thiara awoke to find Dae-Hyun on the phone near the window. His voice was cold, absolute zero. All of them. I want every single person involved. Find them. Bring them to me. A pause. And make sure they understand what happens to people who touch my family. Dae-Hyun. He ended the call instantly, his expression softening as he turned to her. How do you feel? Tired. Sore. But okay. She touched his face. What are you planning? Justice. Protection. Making sure this never happens again. His eyes hardened. They took you. Threatened our daughter. There are consequences for that. Don't do anything that will take you away from us. I need you here. Not in prison or dead. I will be careful. But I won't let this go unpunished. He kissed her forehead. Trust me to handle this my way. She did. And that terrified her as much as it comforted her. A month later, Thiara awoke to wetness and a sharp cramp at 3 a.m. Dae-Hyun. She shook his shoulder. Dae-Hyun, wake up. I think my water just broke. He was out of bed instantly, throwing on clothes, grabbing the hospital bag he had kept packed by the door for weeks. Okay. We practice this. Breathing. We need to breathe. Or is that later? Should we time contractions first? You're panicking. I am not panicking. He was absolutely panicking, his hands shaking as he helped her change. I am just. You're in labor. Our daughter is coming. Oh God. I am going to be a father. Despite the pain building in her abdomen, Thiara laughed. Yes, you are. Now can we please go to the hospital before I have this baby in the car? The drive was a blur of contractions and Dae-Hyun's increasingly frantic reassurances, directed more at himself than her. Once at the hospital, he transformed into focused determination. He refused to leave her side, holding her hand through every contraction, whispering encouragement in Korean and English. Labor was long and brutal. 18 hours of pain and exhaustion. But every time Thiara wanted to give up, Dae-Hyun was there. His strength anchored her. His voice reminded her she was strong enough. You can do this, he whispered during a particularly brutal contraction, wiping sweat from her forehead. You survived 7 months alone. You survived my mother's lies. You survived being kidnapped. You can survive this. You are the strongest person I know. When their daughter finally emerged at 9:43 a.m., screaming indignantly at the bright lights, Dae-Hyun wept openly. The nurses placed the baby on Thiara's chest, and both parents stared in wonder at the tiny, wriggling life they had created. She is perfect, Dae-Hyun breathed, his voice thick with emotion. Absolutely perfect. She has your eyes, Thiara said, exhausted but elated. Look at those dark eyes. She is going to be trouble. Their daughter looked up at her parents. She had Thiara's rich skin tone and Dae-Hyun's delicate features, a perfect bridge between their worlds. What should we name her? Thiara asked. Dae-Hyun smiled. Nari. It means lily in Korean. And Grace for her middle name. For the grace that brought us back together. Nari Grace Kang, Thiara repeated. It's perfect. She is perfect. Dae-Hyun sat on the edge of the bed, his arms around both his girls, his expression one of complete awe. I can't believe she is real. That she is ours. Believe it, Papa. Thiara smiled at him. How does it feel? Terrifying. Amazing. Like my heart is walking around outside my body. He touched Nari's tiny hand, and she gripped his finger with surprising strength. I am going to protect you both from everything. I promise you that nothing will ever hurt either of you again. The first weeks home were exhausting and beautiful. Dae-Hyun threw himself into fatherhood with the same intensity he brought to everything else. He woke for every feeding, changed diapers without complaint, and paced the floors at 3 a.m. singing to Nari in Korean when she wouldn't settle. Thiara watched him transform from mafia boss to devoted father, marveling at how natural he was. He was gentle and patient, his large hands careful with Nari's tiny body. You are spoiling her already, Thiara said one night, watching him rock Nari. She is 6 weeks old. She needs to be spoiled. She needs to know she is loved and wanted and the center of our universe. He kissed the baby's head. Besides, she has me completely wrapped around her finger. Just like her mother. I don't have you wrapped around my finger. Yes, you do. You have since the moment we met. He smiled at her over their daughter's head. I was done for the second I saw you, and I have never recovered. Don't want to recover. Life settled into something beautiful. Thiara's boutique was thriving. Dae-Hyun's transition to legitimate business was painful and slow, but successful. The violence of his past faded into memory, replaced by boardrooms and business deals. 3 months after Nari's birth, Dae-Hyun surprised Thiara with a romantic dinner at home. Candles everywhere, soft music, Nari sleeping nearby. What is this about? Thiara asked, feeling beautiful in a dress he had bought her. This is about us. About celebrating everything we survived to get here. He took her hand. We never had a proper courtship. I never got to date you, will you, show you romance. You married me, got me pregnant, fought your whole family for me, and literally went to war to save me. I think I know how much I mean to you. Still, I want to do this right. He stood, pulling a box from his pocket. Inside was a new ring, a stunning diamond surrounded by emeralds. Thiara Montez, love of my life, mother of my child, salvation of my soul. Will you stay married to me? Will you keep choosing me? Tears streamed down her face. That's not a traditional proposal. We are not a traditional couple. We never have been. He slipped the ring onto her finger. But I love you more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. Say yes. Say you'll keep me. Yes. Of course yes. Always yes. She pulled him into a kiss that tasted like forever. I will always choose you. In every lifetime, I'd choose you. A year later, they renewed their vows in a proper ceremony. Not the forced marriage orchestrated by lies, but a real wedding with real love. They invited everyone who mattered, friends, business partners, Thiara's mother who flew in from Lagos. Notably absent was Madame Kong. She had tried to reconcile, to apologize, but Dae-Hyun had been firm. Forgiveness would take time, if it came at all. Thiara wore a dress she designed herself, elegant white lace with traditional Nigerian patterns embroidered in gold thread. Dae-Hyun wore a traditional Korean hanbok in deep blue. Nari, now 1 year old, toddled between them, making everyone laugh. I was lost before you, Dae-Hyun said in his vows, his voice thick with emotion. Empty. Violent. You saw something in me worth saving. You gave me a reason to be better. I promise to spend every day of my life proving I am worthy of your love. Thiara's vows were equally emotional. I was sold, abandoned, treated like I was worthless. You showed me I am priceless. You gave me freedom within safety. I choose you, Dae-Hyun, not because I am forced to, but because you're the best decision I ever made. When they kissed, the room erupted in applause. It was the sound of victory. 2 years later, Thiara's boutique had expanded to 3 locations. Dae-Hyun's empire was completely legitimate: real estate, tech, investments. One evening, on their balcony overlooking Seoul, Thiara leaned against his shoulder. I've been thinking, she said carefully. Dangerous. He smiled, pulling her closer. Nari needs a sibling. She is getting lonely, and I think. She turned to watch his face. I'm pregnant. 10 weeks. He went very still, then pulled her onto his lap with careful excitement. Are you happy? Happy doesn't begin to cover it. His hand found her belly. Another baby. Another chance to do everything right from the beginning. His eyes grew bright. You have given me everything, Thiara. Absolutely everything. We built it together. She kissed him. And we'll keep building. 9 months later, Thiara gave birth to their son, Abel. He had Thiara's eyes and Dae-Hyun's bone structure, another perfect blend. Abel, Dae-Hyun whispered, holding his son. Strong and capable. When they brought him home, 3-year-old Nari poked his tiny hand. Baby, she said. My baby brother. Our baby, Dae-Hyun corrected gently. You are the big sister now. You have to help protect him. I protect the baby like you protect mommy, Nari nodded seriously. Dae-Hyun's eyes met Thiara's, and the love there was enough to light up the city. 5 years after Dae-Hyun walked into that restaurant and found his pregnant ex-wife serving tables, they celebrated their 10th anniversary. Their penthouse was full of chaotic joy. Nari, now 8, was sketching designs. Abel, 5, was quiet and observant like his father. And their youngest, 3-year-old Emma, was pure energy, running circles around everyone. 3 kids, Thiara laughed, watching Dae-Hyun referee a pillow fight. How did that happen? You are very beautiful and I have no self-control around you, he called back, ducking a flying pillow. That night, after the children were asleep, they stood on the balcony. Do you ever regret it? Dae-Hyun asked. The pain? The kidnapping? The fear? If you could go back and avoid it, would you? Thiara considered it. The manipulation. The divorce. The 7 months alone. No, she said finally. Because all of it led here. To us. To our family. I'd walk through fire to get to this moment. So would I. He pulled her close. You are my miracle, Thiara. My dangerous man who turned out to be my fairy tale. And you are mine. She kissed him as Seoul sparkled below. My forever. 10 years later, they stood in Thiara's flagship store, now a global fashion empire. Photos line the walls, Thiara in her waitress uniform, their vows, the births of Nari, Abel, and Emma. Can you believe it's been 10 years since that night? Thiara asked, staring at the first photo. Best 10 years of my life. Dae-Hyun wrapped his arms around her. You saved me. We saved each other. Their children burst into the room. Nari, elegant at 13, Abel, thoughtful at 10, Emma, wild at 8. Dae-Hyun scooped up Emma while Thiara corralled the older 2. They walked out into the Seoul night as a family. Whole. Healed. Home. It had all started with a pregnant ex-wife serving tables and a mafia boss who never stopped loving her. Their story began with pain, but it ended with forever. And that is the power of a love that fights back. What did you think of Dae-Hyun's redemption? Let me know in the comments. If this story touched your heart, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more beautiful stories. This has been Afro-Korean Soul Tales, where love knows no borders. See you in the next video.